application process. Normally, it's a daunting task for international students. So what, according to you, are the tips and tricks that they can follow to make their application more presentable?
It's typically the writing sections that take them a little bit more time and where they can stand out. There's black and white things, their name, their birthday, who their parents are, what grades they've earned, where they've gone to school. These are all things that have already happened and are very concrete. And then those writing areas, whether it's the essay, the optional essays, the activity section, that's where they come alive to us. As somebody who reads hundreds of applications every year, that's where a student really stands out and starts to become three-dimensional to us.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our AECC Thoughtcast. It's a wonderful day today, and in this Thoughtcast we basically tune in to provide you insightful international education experiences and discussions from industry stalwarts. Like we have one today, Miss Molly Witt. She's from University of Vermont and she's the Associate Director at the university. We are very thrilled to have you here today, Molly. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be joining you here at AECC.
Thank you. So we'll begin with our questions for the Thoughtcast today. So for my first question to you, Molly, is, international students generally look forward to a campus, strong academics and a vibrant campus life. So what makes University of Vermont different? What's the differentiator for University of Vermont among other US universities that we have?
Yeah, and as you know, in the United States, the education system is set up to give students not just a strong academic experience, but also a strong social experience as well. And that's not uncommon here at the University of Vermont too. I think a lot of students are choosing us, yes, for that academic excellence, but knowing that there's a strong balance between being able to have their academic experience, know they'll be able to leave with a quality degree, but then be able to get outside, be able to do activities, especially in the sports area. Our students are very involved in being able to participate in sports, stay healthy and active. There's a really strong focus on mental health balance as well. So our students are able to come in and not just have supportive services in the mental health areas, but also be able to prioritize their physical and mental health as well. So being able to come to the University of Vermont, there's that balance between that strong academic experience and also that strong physical and mental health as well. I think anytime you're going to the United States, you're going to have a really good experience getting into the classroom and out of the classroom and staying active and engaged. But it's really prioritized with our students. And I know sometimes our students say the vibe on campus is that you're able to kind of have it all every day and be able to learn, not just have that academic focus, but also have that strong learning opportunity with your friends and building community and walk away with a really strong network and experiences that you're able to talk about when you graduate.
Amazing. I mean, international students seek such kind of experience when they are planning to go abroad. And it's really nice to see University of Vermont is prioritizing on those areas and giving that kind of experience to international students. So it brings me to the next question. It's a bit different in the home country. Most of the times that international education landscape is very different. Education as such in the classrooms are very different. So when you talk about University of Vermont or generally the US classrooms, how different are they and how can students cope up with the academics expectations out there?
Yeah, that's a great question, because one of the hardest things about coming to the US is adjusting to the academic expectations. Even for students who may have experienced it through an exchange program in the high school, if they came here to the United States as an exchange student, it's a different experience even for our high schoolers in the US to come to the US for their university experience. There's a little bit less structure around saying this is how you're going to spend your day. For example, you'll typically have 5 courses in a semester, and so that might mean that you're doing 3 classes on Monday, 2 classes on Tuesday, 3 or 4 classes on Wednesday, right? So it feels like your day is a little bit more open, but we say for every hour of classroom experience that you have, you should be doing 2 hours of studying outside of the classroom. So even if you only have 3 classes on Monday, where you might be spending 6 hours or it might only be 3 hours of classroom experience on that Monday, you really should be doing twice as much work to study for that. The other thing is our professors expect you to do a lot of work outside of class to prepare for their classes. So they're pretty upfront in their syllabus to say this is what the expectation for the class will be, but they're not going to do regular check-ins with their students to say, are you staying on top of it? And sometimes that first exam or that first quiz will be a strong wake-up call for students to say whether or not they're doing the work outside of the class to stay up with the expectations of the coursework. But that being said, professors are typically very open to meeting with students outside of class. They always hold office hours. It's a wonderful time to be able to engage with your professor to say either I am understanding the work, but I'd like to dive deeper, or I could use a little bit more help to understand it. In addition to that, a lot of courses also offer study times and tutor times, particularly for large classes where there's an expectation that you need to learn a significant amount of work very quickly. So you'll see that a lot in the STEM fields. They'll have specific for classes. And you'll get to access that for free, but you have to be the one to say, I want to take advantage of it. So there's this reliance on a little bit of independence to say, I want to do this, I am going to do this. And for the students who don't take advantage of those opportunities, it can be a little bit harder for them. After that first semester is over, most of the students are able to understand what the academic expectations are and be able to navigate that a little bit better to say, all right, I'm watching my syllabus this year. I'm going to look at the readings that I need to do ahead of time. I'll do the assignments so that when the quiz or the exams come up, I'm prepared for it. Or if there's a paper due, I know I'll be able to take this to the writing center and access the resources there ahead of time so that I know that I can get the best grade possible. It is an adjustment. That first semester can be a transition time for a lot of students, regardless of what their academic experience is, whether it's from the US or not. But our Indian students, they tend to be really strong in the classroom, and then asking them to do a little work outside of the classroom is a new adjustment, and managing their time a little bit more is a new adjustment, but they pick up on it quickly.
So you recommend them to be forthcoming most of the times, ask questions and be a bit independent with their expectations as to ask more questions and get answered.
Exactly. Use your voice. We love to hear from our students, no matter whether it's a professor or a staff member on campus. We are expecting students to be able to use their voice and say, either I need help, or I'm looking for more experience, or I want to take this to the next level. Because when they stay silent, we assume that they feel like they're comfortable in what they're doing. Right. So the more we can hear from them, the better.
Awesome. So my next question to you, Molly, is about the application process. Normally, it's a daunting task for international students. So what, according to you, are the tips and tricks that they can follow to make their application more presentable, thought-provoking, and have the best interest in the mind of getting accepted to an international education experience and university?
Yeah, great question. And the good news for all of your students is they've already done most of the work already, right? Because when we get those applications in, it's about them. Some of the basic things are very easy. What is your name? How old are you? Where do you go to school? Those are things that they already know about themselves. Yeah. So a lot of the application itself is already kind of done for them. It's typically the writing sections that take them a little bit more time and where they can stand out. There's black and white things, their name, their birthday, who their parents are, what grades they've earned, where they've gone to school. These are all things that have already happened and are very concrete. And then those writing areas, whether it's the essay, the optional essays, the activities section, that's where they come alive to us. As somebody who reads hundreds of applications every year, that's where a student really stands out and starts to become three-dimensional to us. They can tell us what they're involved in. And on the Common App, for example, they're able to list up to 10 activities. That's where we can learn where their values are, what they've prioritized with their limited time. We also recognize that in the US, for example, a high school student, our education is designed to allow them to do extracurriculars very easily. And outside of the US, that is not necessarily the case. It's quite challenging to be able to take more time from your day to do these extracurricular activities. But chances are they are doing things that they haven't really thought about putting into writing. Right. Could be that they've participated in sports, that they are responsible for watching their siblings. Maybe they're volunteering through some work with their family that they don't think about as relevant. It's all relevant. This is where you tell us more about what you value, what you're doing, how you're prioritizing your time outside of school and classes. And we get to figure out if what you're doing outside of class is something we can offer you on in our community as well? And will you fit in? Will you feel like you've adjusted to this new setting well because we offer similar things? For example, a lot of times we hear students are active and engaged in environmental organizations or have strong values around the environment because of where we're located in Vermont, having a really strong focus on sustainability. So when we see that in an application, we know they're going to be okay when they come here. When they come to the University of Vermont, if they're already prioritizing sustainability, we know they're going to fit in really well with our community as well. And then when it comes to the essays, first and foremost, answer the question that's being asked. Make sure you're double checking that you're not listing something like, when I go to the UK, I'm excited about. It's simple things like that. And I always recommend running it by a few people because you might write it thinking like, I have this really strong essay and idea in mind. But then when somebody else reads it, they're like, you kind of got lost in what you were saying, so I'd like you to focus a little bit more, and here's how you can do it. That's only going to improve their chances for somebody reading it in an admissions office. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, we want to make sure they're answering the question, that they sound like they know what they're trying to say, and they have the point made. It's all about them. I wouldn't try to say something you think I want to hear, because that often comes across very flat. So just take some time to think about what you have done in answering that question, because you are an individual, and that will come through if you're talking about your own identity, experiences. Then it doesn't come across as flat. But don't talk about other people or what you think I want to hear, because that comes across as very flat.
Yeah. And if I may ask, on a scale of 0 to 10, if you have to assign a number to what kind of, if there is a extracurricular activity that the person has done, how much value do you assign to that component of their application?
Yeah, I mean, often first and foremost is we're making sure that they're going to be academically eligible, because ultimately it is a degree that they're earning from our institutions. So if that's going to be the highest rated thing, or the highest focus during the application review process. But the activity section, because fit happens in a lot of different ways. So fit is academic fit, social fit, financial fit, if you were to put it in the 3 buckets. And that's hard to do, but 3 areas are probably the strongest way to differentiate things. That social fit is where the activities come in. So while it's not going to be the number one thing we look at, it is the thing that rounds out our community to know that they're going to be okay when they come to our campus. And make sure that they're stepping outside of their door and not just staying in their dorm room all day, or not just going to class and coming back to their dorm room. So it's okay if there's not a lot to say about the activities that you've done while you're in school, but the things that you have done, hopefully you've been doing for multiple years, there's some depth to it, so that when you come to our campus, we know you're going to be engaging as well. We know that students who engage when they're on campus are more likely to be happy with their experience, and then therefore are doing better in their classes.
Yeah, that's right. And also it helps a lot in developing their skills when they're talking to probably potential companies. So that brings me to the next question. What kind of career prospects normally international students can look at when they use US as their international education landscape, and especially for University of Vermont?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of times the US is really great at building out not just the hard skills, but the soft skills as well. And especially if you're planning to come back to India and work with anyone who has ever been born, raised, educated in the US, having that ability to have the soft skills in addition to the hard skills is so important. So something that the University of Vermont does is we help our students work through, yes, their academic experience, but then they can access a 4-year plan starting from year 1, where they're working with the Career Center to build out those soft skills as well. And soft skills are things like, how do you interview? How do you network? What are the types of things that you should be saying when you're sitting down with somebody? How do you promote yourself? Because it is really hard to talk about yourself.
Yeah.
And so our Career Center starts with that 4-year plan with students, but then within each of the colleges and schools, there's often a career advisor and somebody who's helping you identify different internships or work experiences that are specific to the field that you want to study, and can connect you with alumni. So it's about using those resources that exist on campus, and again, saying I want to take advantage of them. And once they do, I know they're going to be fine. Our students, when we poll our students after they graduate to ask, what are you doing and are you satisfied? Right around 95% of our students are employed in the fields that they have studied, and that 95% of them say we're very satisfied with what we're doing, which is, we're happy they're doing what they studied, but we're just as happy knowing that they're excited about what they're doing as well, because that is just as important with part of that mental health as well, right? Is making sure you're finding happiness in what you're doing. So as long as they're taking advantage of the 4-year plan and meeting with the Career Center and setting up those goals, it keeps them on track with those hard and soft skills.
Yeah. And, you have students who don't like taking initiatives, sometimes. So as an international career service, like what do you offer to the students if they get stuck, like I don't know how to go about it, or any kind of counseling experience that you guide the students with?
Yeah, so that's quite normal, not just here in India, but elsewhere as well, where maybe students, especially coming out of the pandemic, and you're just a little bit more reliant on yourself to get some things done. So year one, if you're not taking advantage of the full 4-year plan and say you're skipping out on that first year or the second year of the plan, it's not like you can't be on track for a successful placement into graduate work or into employment afterwards. Oftentimes when you start working really intentionally with your academic advisor, not just, year one, your academic advisor might be just helping you think about what types of classes to choose so that you're staying on track with your interests and your major. But as you start progressing through your 4 years, they're often the catch point for those students who haven't taken advantage of as many opportunities to say, okay, we're coming into year 3. What have you been thinking about for your career? Have you been able to do any research? Have you done any internships? Have you done any community service? How can we start aligning some of your goals with things that exist here? So they start working really intentionally at that point to say, it's time to start taking advantage of these opportunities. Maybe you don't know how to access them. So that's their job, is to think about things very holistically at that point. And even if they say, Molly, I'm really interested in research, but I don't know what exists in my area, we have an office called the Fellowship for, now I've forgotten what the acronym stands for, but it's a research-based office that'll help connect undergraduate students with research opportunities on campus. And maybe it's in their field, or maybe it's field adjacent, so that they can get that opportunity to do the research that they're really interested in. And many times there's funding attached to that research as well, so they're able to take advantage of a little extra cash.
And how does these student associations or organizations within the campus elevate this experience for international students? What do they do?
Yeah, in addition to building community straight away, a lot of our clubs and organizations are able to start building that sense of, it's a group of like-minded students, so you're able to feel like you're part of something bigger and feel connected with people who are interested in the same thing as you. And that could be something as simple as our International Student Association, where they're bringing not just international F1 degree seeking students, but anyone who has an international background. So they might be dual citizens of or various different countries, but it just gives them an opportunity to come together and make food from other cultures and be able to talk and host culturally relevant events. They're one of the sponsoring organizations, including the Indian Student Association, that hosts Diwali on campus, for example. But even if you're not looking for cultural experiences, there's academic clubs that can keep you engaged in your academic areas. This could be anything from like your women in engineers to give you that additional focus on what you're studying, or it could be something related to sports to keep that healthy, active lifestyle. Our largest student club on campus is the Ski and Snowboard Club because of our location. And the second largest one is the Outing Club, which is anything to do with the outdoor experiences. So a lot of students will just go and access some of the events that they're hosting so that they're able to take advantage of that. So they might go kayaking, or they might go climbing or biking. And it's just a way to stay active and engaged and give that balance back to your life. Because again, that mental health balance is really important.
Yeah. All right. So my next question is on the landscape of US higher education, or higher education in general, which is ever changing. And we were just talking about some future ready courses that students might be interested in a decade from now. So what, according to you, are the future ready prospects that the students can go in for, and right now whoever is seeing the podcast can take advantage from?
Yeah, I think we'll continue to see more work being done in artificial intelligence, especially as ChatGPT is coming becoming such a large part of our world. We'll continue to see how that engages in multiple disciplines, not just in the STEM fields. But I'm curious to see how that engages in the social sciences as well and creates opportunities and challenges for industries around the world. You know, we're always in high demand for healthcare industry as well. And the STEM fields, computer science will continue to be a really important job prospect in the US, and I imagine around the world as well. But I think some of those core areas that we're used to hearing about in STEM fields and healthcare will continue to be really important. But this artificial intelligence aspect is going to continue to just grow and grow and grow. So it's going to be exciting to see where that goes.
It's going to be very massive.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Molly. It was really, really nice having this podcast with you, and very interesting conversations, related to how the international students can, be more friendly on campus, network better, and share a great experience in international education and be able to focus on their careers as well. Yeah. So thank you so much, Molly, for your insightful discussions, and we look forward to having more chat with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to share more with AECC and to have such a strong partnership with you to talk about these opportunities. So thank you
so much, Molly. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It was really lovely to meet Miss Molly from University of Vermont today. And please subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on international education discussion that we have in the upcoming podcasts. Thank you.